Something wrong? Yeah. It's just too bad you don't know what it is. Heard you like Mr. GQ Smooth man.
Who is that, Shoni? That's right, Ricky's best friend.
But if you're black, they ain't nothing but beef. Watch out. Give me the motherfucking gun, Dre. Your hands on the steering wheel and don't get smart. Either they don't know, and that's your first lesson. Don't show. I don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of the WayBack Movies Podcast, a show where we review the best and not so best of 80s and 90s cinema, because really, fuck the 2000s. My name is Steve, and with me on this crazy journey,
Justin.
Doctor. And we're back with an impromptu last-minute switch for Boyz in the Hood after the great John Singleton passed away a week or so ago. And, so we're just gonna forego our other movie, which, frankly, I'm sure most people would probably be thankful for, so... although we will cover it in the future, but, this week we figured we'd go with Mr. Singleton's magnum opus, if you will. So, that's where we are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, you want to just get into it?
Jump right in.
Alright. So, we're gonna jump into the WayBack Machine for July of 1991. Okay, so here we are, July 12th, 1991. I don't know, I just turned 9.
I'm almost 3.
Alright. So, do the math. There's our age difference. Yep. Enjoy. So yes, like I said, we're going to discuss Boyz in the Hood. I think it's fitting. I mean,
it's his best movie.
Definitely.
And that's saying something, seeing that it was his first movie.
Yeah.
Not to deter from the rest of his work.
Oh, no, certainly not. I mean, I do actually, I think it's his second film, actually, I'm a really big fan of. It's a movie called Poetic Justice with Tupac Shakur and Janet Jackson. I watched that movie a lot when I was young for some reason.
I think there's also Higher Learning.
Mm-hmm.
John Singleton in the 90s.
He was just pretty damn
He had
awesome.
some good ones.
Yeah.
He did have some good ones post-2000, but John Singleton in the 90s,
you couldn't touch him. But yes, with that being said, let's get right into it. So, Boyz in the Hood, like I said, July 12th, 1991. Written and directed by John Singleton. Produced by Steve Nicolaides, I don't know. Production company and distributor is Columbia Pictures. Box office of $57.5 million against a budget of $6.5 million. I read an article fairly recently, didn't get to add into my note, that this was actually the most profitable film of 1991. Not that it made the most money, but because of investment versus box office.
Budget versus
box office. It was the highest earner of the year. So the cast... You got Cuba Gooding Jr. as Trey Styles, Angela Bassett as Reva Styles, Larry Fishburne as Jason Furious Styles Jr.
When did it change?
I thought it would have been already by now, but it wasn't, so I have no idea when he switched it. Ice Cube as Darren Doughboy Baker, Morris Chestnut as Ricky Baker, Nia Long as Brandy, Tyra Farrell as Brenda Baker, Reg Green as Chris, Dedrick D. Gobert as Dookie, Baldwin C. Sykes as Monster, Tracy Lewis Sinclair Shaniqua, Alyssa Rogers as Shanice, Regina King as Shalika, Alexi Bingham as Mad Dog, and Raymond Turner as Ferris. So,
that cast, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Ironically, a lot of them are just like, they worked a lot together. Like, think about Friday, for instance. Yeah. Movies like that. And as it turns out, John Singleton was like one of those certain directors, like Kevin Smith or what's his name? We were just talking about him, and his name has escaped me. Wow, Holy shit.
Drop that in your head.
Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino. Yeah.
Where he kind of uses the same people over and over again.
I like when directors do that.
I do too.
First off, it develops somewhat of a through line through your filmography.
Like if you
get comfortable with actors, like okay, it's a certain
like if you have a repertory player of actors, you know what they're going to be able to do, and also you kind of know what you're going to get. You know
your films are going to be quality because you have these actors more often than not.
Exactly. So a little bit about John Singleton. Born January 6, 1968, passed away April 29th, 2019. Son of Danny. Wow, I better start learning how to speak today. Son of Danny Singleton, a mortgage broker, and Sheila Ward, a pharmaceutical company sales executive, and raised in separate households by his unmarried parents. Sound familiar?
Yep.
Graduated from Blair High School in Pasadena and the University of Southern California School of Cinema and Television. Before going to USC, Singleton had considered pursuing computer sciences. Was the youngest person ever to receive an Academy Award nomination for Best Director at the age of 24 for this film, and was also the first African-American person to be nominated for this award.
He should have won.
I agree.
I don't know what came out in 1991,
Silence of the Lambs. Hard to say. Both phenomenal films. This was back when the Oscar movies were actually good.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs won everything that year.
It really did.
That's a tough way. The only reason why he didn't win is because that was...
Yeah, because that was what it was.
Yeah.
But I do like this, because I threw this in there. Unlike most Oscar nominees, I remember this too, who applaud even when they lose. John Singleton was visibly angry when he lost the award to Demi, and I kind of like that.
Well, he's a kid.
He's just like
24-year-old kid. He's mad. He's like, I thought I made the best movie.
And you would think again, it's hard to say it wasn't better than Silence of the Lambs.
Well, it's two different
movies,
it's
very different.
It's not apples to apples.
No, it's a really tricky thing to go. I would say both of them definitely deserve to be in the hunt for sure. But again, like I said, this is back when the Oscars had good movies in there. So yeah, I'm just gonna throw that out there because fuck the Oscars nowadays. He's known for films depicting life in South Central Los Angeles, such as Boyz n the Hood, Poetic Justice, Higher Learning, and Baby Boy, as well as more commercial films such as the remake of Shaft, Too Fast, Too Furious, and Four Brothers. He also co-created a show that is currently airing now that I'd never even heard of because there's far too much television, called Snowfall. Crime drama.
Yeah, I heard good things.
It looks like it's supposed to be good, but there's so much television out there. How the hell was I ever going to know about it? Yeah.
Too much television.
Taught an advanced directing class at the University of Southern California in the spring of 1997. Which is like, wow. So you're like, he was 24 in this, so like, yeah, you're 32. Yeah, you know how. Here,
yeah, but by 1997, he's already had like 2 or 3.
Yeah, like really big,
arguable classics under his belt.
So it's like, you might be the youngest person to ever teach this class just because of how damn talented you were. Always a champion for black filmmakers, on March 19th, 2014, Singleton criticized popular studios for refusing to let African Americans direct black-themed films. Singleton told an audience of students at Loyola Marymount University, "They ain't letting black people tell the stories." He also added, "And nobody is man enough to go and say that. They want black people to be who they want them to be as opposed to what they are. Black films now, so-called black films now, they're great. They're great films, but they're just a product. They're not moving the bar forward creatively. When you try to make it homogenized, when you try to make it appeal to everybody, then you don't have anything that's special." Ironically, I would agree, and I would also agree with that with film in general. If you're trying to homogenize something and you're trying to make the same shit over and over again, it's not creative.
Especially when you look at, like, black films. Like, who makes the best one? Well, there's John Singleton, there's Spike Lee, and
all people who made, classics in the 90s that, like, and it's like, who else is doing it? Everyone else.
You got Robert Townsend making comedies.
Yeah,
he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an interesting.
Even one recently was like Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, like
not wrong.
Not wrong at all. On April 17th, 2019, he suffered a stroke and was in intensive care. On April 29th, 2019, he was removed from life support and passed away at the age of 51 at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. He is survived by his parents and 7 children. Ice Cube said, "There are no words to express how sad I am to lose my brother, friend, and mentor. He loved to bring the black experience to the world." He was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame at 619 Hollywood Boulevard on August 26, 2003. So he has passed.
Earned every inch of that star.
Absolutely. It's kind of fucked up. First Luke Perry, then him, of like just getting a stroke and not coming out of it.
Well, such a young age.
Yeah, like this is fucked up.
Clearly a storyteller that had a lot more stories to tell.
Absolutely.
And
they're still telling them. So
this is why we're doing this episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a plan, but when something like this happens,
yeah, you gotta sort of roll with it. And that's what we kind of did.
You know, not that we're gonna do this all the time.
No,
and that doesn't mean that person who died isn't important.
No,
but someone like John Singleton
changed cinema. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to...
Like, this movie is transcendental.
Yeah.
Like, it's... I don't know if that's the right word, but...
It's not. But it's... The idea behind what you're saying is that basically this movie hit... Like, it explained to the rest of the world what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things, and it hit the mainstream. It hit us where we live. We saw it, you know? Like, I mean...
Whether you like it or not, this was the world according to John Singleton because he lived it.
Exactly. And, I mean, we're 2 white kids from fucking Toronto. We would have never seen any of this shit, but he threw it out there for us. And I've seen this movie a bunch of times in my life.
And as good as Friday is, who shows a comedic spin on this...
This was the real
look as
you needed to see this, and you know, and we saw it, and I can honestly say, as a kid, when I was younger, I mean, by kid, I was probably like 15, 16, seeing this movie for the first time. It never occurred to me that this is what was really going on. You know what I mean? But then,
because how would you know, right?
How would you know, right? Because you don't know, especially again, like I said, white kids in Toronto. The fuck do we know? We don't see things like this, so. You know, once it hit me that this was a real day-to-day life for people, it kind of really struck me and hit me in a weird way. So, and that was what he was trying to go for. So, I think very much mission accomplished. But
on watching in 2019, I can tell you right now, it still has the exact, if not more, impact.
Absolutely.
Than it did when it came out in 1991.
Absolutely. It definitely still hits exactly where you think it would. But the production on this film... let's go into that. Let's say, while in high school, John learned that the film business was controlled by screenplays, which not so much anymore. Used to be.
Back then.
Well, back then, you know.
You write a sweet screenplay, they'll take a look at you.
They'll pay attention. Now, not so much, which is unfortunate. In USC's film writing program, he won 3 writing awards. Through these achievements in writing, he earned a contract with a powerful creative artists agency during his sophomore year at USC. CAA is one of the biggest talent agencies on the planet. So to get that in your second year of college, that's insane. Based on writing. Like, he hadn't even written this. He'd just written other stuff that we don't even know what it is. And that was where he got it. So that's fucking incredible.
I'm sure it was a work in progress stuff, you know. Like, the movies that he made in the 90s were probably like based off the drafts that he wrote to guide him into CAA.
I would assume so. Columbia Pictures at first didn't want to make this picture, but some people who worked there read the script, loved it, and wanted to make the movie. When they eventually were convinced to make the picture, at first they wanted someone else to direct it.
It's what he said. Yeah. Literally what he said.
Yeah. It was a hard sell since Singleton hadn't directed anything more than a student film. But on advice from his father, he went into the meeting acting like he didn't need them. According to John, they said they wanted to buy the script. He said, "Great, I'm going to direct it." To which they said, "Well, what if we said we'll pay you for the script and that's it?" He replied, "Then this meeting is over because this is the movie I was born to make."
He still owned them.
Yep, he did. John believed only he could do this, saying, "Hell no, I'm not going to let somebody from Idaho or Encino direct a movie about living in South Central Los Angeles. They can't come in here and cast it and go through the rewrites and know exactly what aesthetics are unique to this film."
No, in Columbia, it probably would have been like Ridley Scott or something.
Oh, although Ridley Scott's take on it might be interesting. Like, all of a sudden, fucking Alien shows up. I mean, wouldn't have been the same movie, but I'd watch that.
But John knew what he was